Good morning. I am so excited to record this episode. If you are watching on YouTube, then you can see my beautiful new Shure microphone live and in action. I am so excited to go back and hear this episode and listen to my new and improved audio quality. It sounds so good that I had to put my headphones on so that I could hear myself during the episode because I'm so excited about the audio quality. Now, there are a lot of settings and stuff that are in this manual that I'm sure I can get it even more fine-tuned and refined, and I'll probably go back and hear it the first time and realize that I want to change some settings. But nonetheless, I am so excited to be upgrading my audio quality. This was a long overdue purchase, but I have been holding out, been trying to sell some of my other equipment, things like that. And here we are. We are live with the Shure. So if you've been listening to my podcast, viewing my videos, whatever it may be, if you hear a difference in my audio quality, please leave me a comment because I want to hear y'all's opinions. I have a feeling it's going to be great, and I cannot wait to go back and listen. Before we get into today's episode, I just have to talk about something. I was gonna leave this until my reality recap this Saturday, but I absolutely cannot. I cannot wait to talk about this. I have to talk about it today because it was just absolutely mind-blowing. So if you have not watched, if you are a Love Island fan, Love Island UK, and you have not watched the newest episode, episode 21, if you have not watched episode 21, spoiler alert, I am about to talk about the episode. I am about to ruin the episode. If you have not listened to it, please jump ahead chapters, okay? I'm going to give you 2 seconds to do that. If you don't do that and you get it spoiled, that's on you, okay? All right, episode 21. Y'all, what they did to Molly at the end of that episode is so unhinged. Love Island has never done anyone that dirty in the history of Love Island. And I mean, when I was watching that this morning, my jaw hit the floor. Just dropped her, dumped her from the island just like that. And I think what the craziest part is that they brought Katie in, who's been on a season before. Loved her season. If you haven't watched her season, you got to watch her. She is unhinged in and of herself. But so they brought Katie back. She's already had a whole season. She found someone to be with that season. I mean, they didn't last, but she's already had this experience, right? Which I do think it's cool that they're bringing her back on. And like, I think that's going to be a cool dynamic. And I liked Katie. I thought she was great for reality TV. But to bring her on, someone that's already had a shot on the show, already had a full season themselves, to bring her on and then kick off Molly like that, I would be livid if I was Molly. Not to mention the fact that she really did like Zach, and I think her and Zach were actually really good together. I'm not sure if they would have like made it the distance, but I'm just so shook at the Love Island producers. I thought that was so dirty of them. They've never just dropped anyone from a season before like that. Like usually it's like you're now single, there's someone new coming in, or you're now single and like you're on the chopping block, like whatever it may be. But to just send her home like that, and then to leave us on the cliffhanger like that, I mean, I was so shook. Honestly, I really, really hope for her sake that they bring her back, I don't know, during Casa Amor or something like that, because I just think that that is so wrong to just like drop her like that. And I don't know. I thought it was so dirty. I am so interested to see how this is going to play out and like see how tomorrow's episode. Actually, I think I just noticed that tomorrow's episode is an unseen bits, which makes me mad because I need to know what's going to happen. But nonetheless, I thought that was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And I feel so bad for Molly, whether you like her or not, because I didn't love her in the beginning. I thought she was really extra and a little full of herself. But she's grown on me since she's gotten with Zach. And then to watch her like really, really, really like someone, I feel like she was really finding her footing inside of the villa. I feel like she was chilling out a little bit. And then to just get dropped like that for someone that's for someone that's already had a whole season themselves, like that's just so dirty. Not to mention, like, if I was Zach, I would feel so resentful towards Katie. And not to mention, if I was Katie, I would be pissed because, like, you brought me on just to, like, have the dirtiest dumping of Love Island history. And I'm the one that did it. Oh, I'd be livid. I'd be so pissed. Anywho, we're going to talk about this deeper in this weekend's reality recap episode. So be sure to tune in then. But I just absolutely had to talk about that for a second because I think it was the wildest thing that Love Island has ever done. Okay. Done talking about Love Island now. If hopefully I didn't lose you. Hopefully I didn't. And you didn't fall off. Could have just like jumped ahead a chapter, but whatever. Today, in honor of getting my new microphone, in honor of feeling like a real podcaster, I want to talk about, we're also in honor of it like literally almost being 6 months to the day of me doing YouTube and doing my podcast. I want to talk about the biggest lessons or takeaways from my first 6 months in podcasting, right? I feel like when I started this, I started it because I loved listening to podcasts. I started it because I wanted to get into content creation and I wanted it to be a medium that I personally was super into. And also YouTube is something that I have always wanted to get into like years ago and I just never had the balls to do it. So I want to talk about what I've learned in my first 6 months, and it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot. It's been a whole lot of learning. It's been a whole lot of trial and error. It's been a whole lot of money spent and time spent. And I have watched so many YouTube videos about how to make YouTube videos, how to make podcasts, how to do social media. So many hours I have spent on YouTube. So my goal here is to hopefully share some of my tips and tricks, things that I've learned to, I don't know, maybe save you a little bit of time and headache and I don't know, hopefully make the process a little bit easier for you. First and foremost, on the heels of me getting the nicest microphone that I have had to date, one of the nicest microphones on the market, I want to make it very clear, very, very, very clear. You do not need the latest and greatest gear in order to start a podcast or in order to start on YouTube. I want to make that so crystal clear because when you get on YouTube and start researching how to start a podcast, how to get on YouTube, how to start in content creation, it feels like everyone, which so many people do on YouTube, they have thousands of dollars worth of gear. Because so many of the videos that you're watching when you go and start looking up topics like that are people that are very well established on YouTube, that are ranking high on that algorithm, that are making a lot of money off of content creation, and have thousands of dollars worth of microphones and cameras and audio equipment and lighting and you can get into such a hole and it can really be super discouraging to see people with all of this crazy cool equipment and realize that you just maybe don't have the budget for it or just don't want to invest that much off rip because you're just not sure if it's going to take off, you're not sure if you're going to love it. Honestly, that is such a smart mindset and I beg you to keep that mindset because I did not. I didn't go balls to the walls, but I definitely spent way more money than I should have buying equipment, trying out different equipment, trying out different gear. I'm telling you right now, I have ended up selling 95% of the things that I have bought in the last 6 months. So let me break it down for you. First and foremost, I bought a Canon M50 camera. Canon M50 camera, and I started my YouTube channel. Actually, let's back it up. Okay. I started my YouTube channel making videos with my cell phone. Making videos with my cell phone, and it is possible. It is possible to make YouTube videos with your cell phone. It is so much more tedious, time consuming, difficult. You have to have so many different workarounds to kind of do fairly simple stuff, transferring files and things like that. I mean, it's a bit of a headache. You can do it. I did it, but it's a bit of a headache. So I then got into a hole on YouTube about what the best camera was to have. And I ended up getting the Canon M50 because I saw the like everywhere best beginner camera, da 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 da. I wish that I had not bought that camera first and foremost because, okay, Canon's great. Canon's awesome. I think I'm going to be a Sony girl moving forward, but that's for another conversation. My biggest dislikes when it comes to Canon is really, really difficult to use as a webcam. They do not have a direct plug-in from your camera to the computer. You have to either use a capture card or you have to use their EOS webcam software, which is super basic, and I didn't like it. And honestly, it was so difficult. One time I went to Best Buy. I did 8 trips to Best Buy in one day trying to figure out how to get my M50 to work as a DSLR camera. And that day is the day that I bought this webcam. Okay? This webcam, I use the Logitech Brio, and it's definitely the nicest, one of, if not the nicest webcams on the market. Is it professional DSLR camera grade photo video quality? No. But do I think it's pretty good? Yeah. I think it's pretty good for 6 months in and trying to be on a budget and like just being cost conscious, right? I bought this because when I went to Best Buy for 8 times in one day to try and get my Canon DSLR to work as a webcam and literally could not, hours. I could not. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to buy a webcam and I need this to work because I was starting to do long distance interviews with people and I needed a webcam so that I could use StreamYard, my recording software. Bought this webcam. It's literally one cord from the webcam to my computer, works like a charm. Like, it's so easy to use. I think the video quality is pretty damn good. I think, could it be better? Yeah. And one day it will be better. One day when I am starting to make money from this or I have upped my money in other departments, yes, I will be getting a DSLR again. But, and I think it's going to be a Sony. I've been doing a good bit of research and Sony's, I think, are superior. Also, another thing about the Canon M50, Canon has this weird recording time frame. I think it's like 30 minutes if I remember properly, where it will stop you from recording and cut it into another segment. So it like cuts your video into pieces. And when you're got external audio with your video, trying to line those up again in editing is the biggest headache. Absolutely cannot stress this enough. No, so awful, especially when you're like a beginning editor and like this isn't your, like, you're not an editor, you're not a video editor, audio editor, like that's not your specialty like me. It took up so much of my time and uh, uh, I recommend taking it easy on the camera equipment. Obviously, better quality is better. When I go on YouTube, I like to watch videos with really high quality video and audio production. We all do. But so much of starting a YouTube channel or starting a podcast or starting a content brand is just figuring out your brand. So much, you're going to change your mind 15 million times. So just keep it easy. Keep it easy on the equipment. Keep it easy. I swear you're going to change up what you like, what you don't like. You're going to figure out how you want to shoot, how you want it all to look. You're going to figure all of that out and then build your equipment around that. But you're going to need a little bit of time to get there. I did buy this Shure microphone, but if you watched my video on Monday, I've been using this Rode Video Mic Go. Oops. I've been using this, which is actually a shotgun mic from my camera, and it worked for the first 6 months. Like, so this was $100, like no big deal. They also, I know there's some really good budget microphones on Amazon. Like I said, keep it simple. KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay. I use iMovie and GarageBand. They're both free softwares. That's my editing software. Keep it simple there. I stream or I record via StreamYard. I recently found this. I found this because this is how I started recording remote podcasts where I was doing interviews with people. This was the easiest way, and I had read some horror stories about Riverside. I've read great stories about Riverside, and I've read horror stories about Riverside. So So far, I like StreamYard. I think it compresses my video and makes it a little more blurry than I would prefer. But other than that, right now, I'm going to keep it status quo and keep going with this. So that's kind of my basic setup. I have my Mac, I have my webcam, and I have my Shure microphone now with a boom arm that's like mounted to my desk. So that's really my setup. Oh, and I have a light. I have one big light. I will link all of this in the description below, but I do have one big spotlight, and it's adjustable. It has this remote so I can do like different, light qualities, and yeah, I can change everything on it. I love this light. I started out with a ring light, liked that as well. Those are super cheap. Started out with a ring light. And then I got a pretty cheap setup of box lights, and I liked them, but they weren't strong enough. Like, I felt like I couldn't use them at any time of day or night. So then I got this one badass light, and it still wasn't super expensive. I want to say, like, I don't know, like definitely less than $100. But I'll link it. I got it on Amazon. And that's my whole setup. It's really simple, and this is how I prefer it. And one day it's going to be crazier, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be a full studio. I already know it. I have a vision in my head of what I would want it to look like. But for right now, keep it simple. Start simple, build upon it. Do not go broke on gear. I'm telling you right now, do not go broke on gear. You will regret it. You will change your mind. You will not like what you started with. I guarantee it. Okay? Kind of piggybacking off that, right? Like, you're going to change. I have changed my mind about this podcast. I feel like I change my mind about this podcast every week. I feel like I want something a little different out of it. I want to talk about something a little bit different. I want my process to change a little bit. I want my brand to be a little bit different. I'm thinking about changing the name of the podcast right now. Like, I have changed my mind so many times about this podcast. And when I first started, I put so much pressure on myself to like have it all figured out. Like, I wanted it all figured out. I wanted my branding done. I wanted my website done. I wanted this podcast just everywhere. I wanted it to be this one specific thing. And I quickly learned that I didn't know what I wanted. When I started this, what I wanted for this podcast has changed. Okay. Like, it started out as this motivational, inspirational brand. And I started out by like scripting my episodes, and I hated that. It felt so forced and so stressful. I started out trying to talk like very motivational, like, yes, like this is the best way to live your life. And like, these are some habits and some mindsets and some tips and some tricks. And I think that that's all awesome. But I have started to morph the concept that I want it to be into a lot more casual, a lot more fun, a lot more of me, of my personality. And slowly, my social media used to really, really, really bother me. Social media for this. And I still, that leads me to the next point. I still do not feel like I understand what I want my social media to look like. My Instagram right now has a branding to it, and I just recently started that, like literally 2 days ago. I started like rebranding everything on Instagram, and I love it. I think it's so cute. But it's taken me 6 months to get there. Like, it has taken me 6 months to figure out, kind of really start to feel comfortable with what my topics were going to be, with kind of the brand that I wanted to create, the look and feel that I wanted it to have. And I'm nowhere near like solidified on that. I still think that's going to change a lot over time. But my whole point of this is, be easy on yourself. Don't feel like you have to have it all figured out to get started. Just get started. I'm telling you, if you just start making episodes, just start making content, you've got to figure out your flow. You've got to figure out how to be comfortable on the microphone, how to be comfortable in front of a camera, how to be comfortable talking and flowing and understanding the editing process and the upload process and all of that. There's so much more of the fundamental stuff that you need to worry about than all of the like fluff and fun stuff, like social media and branding and all of that, website and all of that fun stuff. Just focus on getting started. Focus on learning how to make the content, how to make good content, what kind of content you like making. Focus on that, and I swear the rest will fall into place. If someone would have told me this at the start to just breathe. Just start making content and you're going to wiggle yourself into the space that you want to be in without even realize that you're doing it. Like, I swear I woke up this week and I was like, I think I have an idea. I think I have a visual idea of what I want the brand to look like. And I think I have an idea of kind of what I want to talk about. And I still think that, like I said, I still think that's going to change so much. But take it easy. Focus on the content. Just start making the content. You've got to start making it. Your first few bits are going to be, you're going to hate them. You're going to go back and look at them and be like, what the hell was I doing? Like, that's so bad. But you have to start somewhere, and your content's going to suck at first. It's just the reality of it. But if you don't start making it and start making it consistently, you're never going to get better at it. So just start making the content. The rest will come later. Okay. Now, to that point, and I don't think I realized, okay, so YouTube is a search engine, right? Like, YouTube is like Google. It has its own algorithm and search engine, and like, there's a method to the madness to get found on YouTube. Podcasting is not like that. You have to use all of these other avenues and resources in order to get found via podcast. All right. So it's not as easy to just get found via an algorithm on Spotify or Apple or like ranking or anything like that. Like, you have to use your social media, you got to use the internet, you got to promote on a podcast. Okay. It's not as easy as YouTube. So, what I just cannot stress enough not to rush the process. Okay. You're not going to start a podcast unless you already have a brand, and a foundation and a following of some sort that you can start to promote to, that's going to latch on to your podcast. You're not going to start your podcast and just take off. It's just not going to happen. It's the reality of the situation. If you are a normal person like me with a normal amount of Instagram followers, TikTok followers, like, just, I've got like 1,000 Instagram followers, like nothing crazy yet. If you're just a normal person like me that's decided to start a podcast, it's going to take a while. Like I just said, it's going to take a while for you to even figure out your brand, let alone for other people to start latching onto your brand. It's going to take you a while to even start to make quality content, let alone make quality content enough for other people to latch onto your content. Slow down. It's okay. You're going to be speaking into an abyss for a while. I am still speaking into an abyss. Okay. As of the making of this video, I have 189 YouTube subscribers, and I think I average like 10 downloads an episode. Like, it's nothing. That's okay. Someone's going to be watching this video a couple years from now and be like, this was like the start of it all. Okay. That's the beauty of it, right? Like, you have to start somewhere. You're going to be talking to no one. You're going to feel like you're talking to no one. What is the point of talking to no one? I'm spending hours editing and uploading and making content and I'm doing it for nothing. I'm not talking to anyone. That is the reality of starting a podcast. Okay? Embrace it. Love it. You're going to remember these days. One day when you do make it and your podcast is something and your brand is something, you're going to remember the days when you were talking into the abyss. Okay? Don't put pressure on yourself. It's just the reality of the situation. All right? I cannot stress enough, to that point, I cannot stress enough the importance of social media. It is not the first and most important thing. Most importantly is your content. But creating and utilizing other social media platforms is of utmost importance, especially YouTube. If you are not making YouTube videos for your podcast, you are missing out on an entire sector of the internet. Okay. You're missing out on an entire demographic, and you need to be uploading to YouTube. Like I said, YouTube is its own search engine. It has its own algorithm. It's awesome. Okay. And YouTube, there is a super loyal and active viewership on YouTube. So if you are not uploading to YouTube, you need to be uploading to YouTube. You also need to be using Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. People love Twitter. TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, they're all reels. Okay. People love reels. I love reels. I love watching reels. TikTok is a lot more casual than, say, Instagram. Instagram is a lot more branded. YouTube Shorts is a lot like TikTok. It's relatively new at the time. So be utilizing that. Be thinking of other forms of content that you can make from your longer form content. Okay, social media is so important. It is probably the number one thing that I dislike the most. I do not enjoy social media currently. It is something that I'm really trying to learn to love. I don't like having to post so much and be on social media so much and be keeping up with social media so much, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on social media these days because some people are just so good at it. So, and they have these great brands and they're really good at making this short form content, but that's okay. It's a necessity, it's a necessary evil. We have to learn to embrace social media if we want our podcast to go somewhere. So, learn about social media, watch some YouTubes about social media, get active on social media. You're probably going to hate your social media at first. It's okay. I've just started to figure out a brand that I wanted my like Instagram to look like, and I do really like it. But it's taken me 6 months to get there, okay? So, embrace social media, learn to love it, and get on YouTube. All right? All right, lastly, and I cannot stress this enough. I'm speaking from personal experience here. Take inspiration from others, but do not try to copy someone else. Okay. Do not try to copy someone else's brand and style. I'm telling you that all you are going to do is disappoint yourself because you are never going to be able to recreate the style and brand of someone else, the feel, the vibe of someone else nearly as good as they are because it's their brand, it's their vibe. They created it. Let them have that. Take inspiration from it. Take little pieces from different people that you like, and then mold it all together and put in a piece of you. This is probably the hardest part because I look at other people's pages and brands and listen to their podcasts and I'm like, they're nailing it. I just love it. Like, why am I not there? Why do I not have that like togetherness and polish and all of that, right? And the reality is that I'm looking at someone's brand that is developed. I'm looking at someone's podcast that's probably been doing it for some time, that's probably through this learning phase for the most part, that's like getting a little bit more established, right? They didn't end up there overnight. They were in the same position I was at some point. They were trying to figure it out and figure out what their flow was and what their look was and all of that. And they figured it out for themselves. But if I go and try to recreate it, I haven't gone through all of those steps and thought processes and everything that they have to get to that point. So I'm never going to be able to recreate it in the same way. And the reality is, that there is only one of me, there is only one of you. Nobody will ever be able to do it like me or like you. Okay. We have to embrace our individuality. We have to embrace the fact that there is only one of us out there in the world and use that to our advantage. And that's what I'm currently working on. I am currently working on being a little easier on myself and just letting it come to me. Let it come to me. Let the brand come to me. Let the vibe come to me. Let the flow come to me. Just let it come to me. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what I've been doing this week. I've been trying out some different stuff. We've been doing these daily episodes, which I love. Check out my Instagram. Okay, please do check out my Instagram and let me know what you think of the new vibe on the feed. I think it looks so cute. I'm also toying around with some name changes, so be on the lookout for that. I'm thinking something a little more light and fun. I will be doing my first reality recap episode this weekend. I can't wait. I'm going to be talking about all things reality TV. It is my favorite vice of mine. So be on the lookout for that. Please be sure, as always, however you are consuming this content, please be sure to like, share, follow, rate, comment, subscribe, do all of the things so that I can continue to bring this content to you each and every day. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and I will see you back tomorrow morning.